if people would look at the behavior for what is it I'm saying I need, not what am I trying to get you to do.
Yeah.
It would go a long way to, number one, not set up a negative, what do you want from me? Now, why are you doing this? This negativity. You're going to stay calm because your first response is going to be, okay, you're telling me something I don't understand, but let's work on it. What is it you show me? You're staying calm, which immediately calms us down. You're also being positive rather than negative.
Hi, I'm Staci Neustadt. I am a speech language pathologist and the CEO at Making Sense of Autism, and I'm a student of Susan.
And I'm Susan Golubock. I am a now retired occupational therapist who has worked many, many years after I discovered even my own autism with other autistic individuals. I founded Making Sense of Autism because of my passion to not only understand my brain and how it worked differently, but to try to explain what I've learned to other people so that they're more understanding and therefore more accepting and more accommodating to autistic individuals.
So, our goal is to help you provide the right support without trying to fix autism, but by understanding it. So, whether you're a parent, teacher, therapist, or just someone who wants to learn, you're in the right place. Be sure to subscribe and join us every week. We talk about a new topic. Sue, I feel like this topic comes up a lot of just reframing what we're observing, even reframing our language and how important that is with this shift to neuro affirming support. And one common and misunderstood behavior that I hear a lot is that idea of controlling or being defiant. Even sometimes people use that word manipulative. So, Sue, when people describe an autistic individual as being controlling, what do they often miss about really what's going on inside?
The key component that they're missing, the words manipulate and control, implies that you're trying to manipulate or control someone else, i.e., your actions are designed to get a particular reaction from your communication partner, that you're trying to get something from them.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas autistics are responding to their inner pain, inner needs. And yes, their actions may cause other people to, in order to calm them down or just get it over with, do what actually does work, which is meet their needs. But it's often resented by the person that's doing it because they feel controlled or manipulated.
Mm.
I don't know, that that's maybe a very subtle difference in terms of the intent of the autistic is rarely to, they're not thinking social. Social is a complex concept for autistics. We struggle with understanding the social dynamics of interrelationships, as you well know.
Mm-hmm.
So, do we understand that what we're doing deliberately now? That doesn't mean we can't learn how to manipulate or control other people when we realize that the behavior we did gets us the result that meets our needs. Then that doesn't mean we can't learn like any other child.
Mm-hmm.
To repeat that behavior with the expectation that it's going to get us what we want. But if people would look at the behavior for what is it I'm saying I need, not what am I trying to get you to do.
Yeah.
It would go a long way to, number one, not set up a negative, what do you want from me? Now, why are you doing this? This negativity. You're going to stay calm because your first response is going to be, okay, you're telling me something I don't understand, but let's work on it. What is it you show me? You're staying calm, which immediately calms us down. You're also being positive rather than negative. Stop it. What are you doing? Versus, how can I help you? What do you need? And see, then when you get to that negotiating, you're problem solving. Now, you never offer solutions that you're not willing to give. So if you don't want to be controlled or manipulated, don't offer it as an option. Instead, offer options that you're willing to work with and accept. Then the autistic child is going to learn, okay, so this behavior will get your attention to help me. And I'm going to be happy as long as whatever it is you offer me does meet my need. So you're reinforcing a positive relationship interaction rather than a negative.
Yeah. So, and really, like you said, they're seeking something they need, whether it's predictability or internal safety. So, how could we, in terms of language, reframe what we're observing? So, especially as therapists, and I see this, I read it in an IEP this morning about, manipulative behavior. How can we reframe and use different language to describe what we're observing in those situations?
I think the easiest and most obvious thing is to reflect back what you're seeing. Oh, I see you're throwing things. You must be really upset. To me, that means you're really, really upset. Am I right? But no, they could be throwing things because it's a fun thing to do. And they like the experimentation of what happens and how far does it go. And they're actually playing, not angry. So then you look at their face and say, but your face doesn't look angry. So maybe I'm wrong. See how you're reflecting back now. As an autistic, I'm going to be curious about, you're noticing me. You're noticing that about me? Really? Am I really doing that? I'm going to stop short and shift now my mind to, oh, this is a new interesting thing. And I'm going to shift to the thinking level of my brain and I'm going to really calm right down. I'm going to stop what I'm doing because now you've enticed me into, you're seeing me. See, we don't feel heard or seen.
Mhm.
People seem to ignore us. This is why I grew up feeling like a ghost. My aunt said, yeah, you didn't say anything, you didn't do anything, you were just there. Well, that's how I learned to deal with life. I was just there trying to study and figure out what it is I'm supposed to be saying. What is it I'm supposed to be doing? Why are they doing what they're doing? Why are they saying what they're saying? Um, uh, so, yes, to be actually acknowledged that you see and hear me and are trying to understand me. Wow, now you really have my total attention. I'm going to stop what I'm doing and pay attention to you because now you're a fascinating person to me and you get me. I want to know and I will answer you. I can say yes or no. I will recognize the words you say as being true or not. I may not be able to retrieve them to tell you, but I can recognize.
And I love how you describe that curiosity and all those questions that you just posed, because I feel like sometimes that is observed as, I don't know if it defiance the word to describe it, but just like argumentative, what, asking those why questions. Why are they doing that? Or why are you doing that? Or why, whatever. And people observe it as being argumentative when really it's curiosity of wanting to learn. But unfortunately, we hear that why and view it as, why are you questioning me? Sometimes I'll literally have to tell parents, like, if they ask you why, it's not to question what you're doing. It's true curiosity because they don't understand the social piece of it. And so again, just kind of reframing what they're getting out of it, and defining it that way, like you said, like maybe they're
Mm-hmm.
throwing because they enjoy it. Maybe they are throwing because they're mad. And that's so we describe it as they use nonverbal communication to express their emotions, versus, being aggressive or whatever. So, constantly reframing and shifting, which this is probably the biggest challenge because as human beings, unfortunately, we see the negative. We see what someone is doing wrong. And so part of the shift is seeing what are they seeking? What are they needing? And viewing it that way and shifting the language along the way. And I know I have found that the more I shift my language, I notice that negative language now. And I try to model that language. And I notice with parents that when I give a reframe to what I'm observing, whether it's in my sessions, things like that, they're like, oh, yeah. And you can almost see that relief of like,
Mm-hmm.
they
Mm-hmm.
almost don't want it to be a negative thing because then you build up that tension of like, I've got to fix this. But it's like, oh, no, that's an interesting way of viewing it.
And that's because we make automatic subconscious judgments based on what
Yes.
we know, what's familiar and normal in our world. Um, and we don't realize that we're misjudging, that we are comparing them to ourselves when they're not the same as ourselves. So it takes that when you trigger it to make them think about it, now you're helping them make that shift to become aware of their subconscious judgments that
Mhm.
they're making, to become more aware that, oh, I just made that judgment. But until someone points it out, it's so subconscious, you don't realize that that's what you're doing. So it does help to have someone point out to you um, what's happening and how reframing it can help you become more aware of those subconscious judgments so that you can shift to making a more positive approach to dealing with problems instead of looking at them as always negative.
Absolutely. All right. Well, great information today on how we can reframe what we're observing and hopefully stop using those terms like controlling and defiant, manipulative. Let's observe and see how we can reframe it from the autistic perspective of what they're trying, what need they're trying to get met. So thank you, Sue.
Thank you, Staci, for asking.